Hey guys, Gary here from RV Living Life. Today we have a project. We're going to make some 4 cable, and we're going to put these big lugs on the end. This is for connecting batteries together, and these are 4 so when you look it up, it's 4 backslash 0, and they call it 4. Took me a little while to get that straight. I'm going to make pieces out of this that are 4.5 inches long, plus the lugs for connecting the batteries together. I need 6 of them. I've already made 7 connections in the bay already. I'll show you that in a bit. So what we have is 4.0. Let's see if I can see what it says on there. 4.0. So 4 Toughlex heavy duty welding cable, 600 volt, negative 50 Celsius to plus 5 Celsius, made in the USA. You know, good quality welding cable, very flexible, and millions of strands in the end, just tons. So the first thing we have to do is, let's move this out of here. I'm going to turn the camera down a bit. Okay, so we can see down here on the table, a little more maybe. There we go. And oh, I should also mention, before we get into that, I've got my wine-colored hat on and my wine-colored shirt, and I've got a glass of wine going. So no matter how badly I screw this up, it should still come out pretty good. Okay, back to the project. So the first thing to do is to measure the length of this, and I want it at 4.5 inches. Okay, so 4.5 inches. I'm just going to grab anything I can mark it with. A pair of scissors will do. Going to put a little scribe on it there. I don't know if you can see that. I doubt it, but there's a little mark on the insulation of the cable. Next thing I need is my ratchet cutters. Got this for this project. Love them. What you can do is you can just hook it around a cable like that, or you can feed it in on the end like I'm doing here, and then you ratchet it up. So I'm just going to put the mark with the top of this, because the bottom is what moves, and I'll just keep cranking. Of course I had it quite open, so it's going to take a while to get there. Okay, now it's starting to bite, and you can see I'm just moving this with my fingers. It's actually very easy to do. I'm just doing it slowly, so I'm trying to keep the cable nice and straight, and eventually it falls off. And there you go. You got a piece 4.5 inches long. Let's just check that. Wonderful. And I need 6 of those. So we'll put that aside. We'll mark this one at 4.5. Again, just going to ratchet it off. This time I'm going to make it a little tighter on it so I don't have to ratchet it so much. Okay, and 4.5 inches again. Now, I imagine I'm going to be speeding this up a bit or something so you don't have to watch me cut 6 of these. Okay, of course the camera died there, but we're going to carry on. We're connected again. Had time for my little friend here. That's the one thing I find about doing this, is it's really relaxing and I enjoy it. Like, what's the rush, you know? You don't want to do your hobbies too fast, because then you're going to run out of things to do. Anyway, while the camera was off, I had time to do this. I took some of those cables and stripped them down. So to do that, all I'm doing is I'm taking the lug and I'm looking at how far along I have to cut it to strip off the insulation, right? So just mark it with my thumb where it's going to be. So I have to cut the insulation off there. You know, I'll put a little mark on it so I don't lose it. Got a little scratch. You'll never see that from there, but I can see it. So now with my cutter, I just put my blade right on that. Oh, for the cutter, you got to make sure that the blade does not cut any of the wire. You can adjust it. Let's see if I can show you that. Okay, so what you're doing is you can move that little blade in and out. You want to make sure that's just the right length, it doesn't cut any wire strands. And then you cut it on the place where I scratched it, which is right there. Now you can go round and round and round, but one time it cuts the insulation, and round you might just cut some strands. So the insulation is now as cut as it's going to be. And then you turn it, and then you just pull it, and you can see what it did was make a groove all the way around. And then when I pulled it off, I turned the blade, and I just can peel that off now. Look at how nice that is. There's a little piece of cardboard insulation there. I just push that down with my finger, make it flat with the end here. Okay, so that's one end, and then I'll just measure the other end. Okay, I don't really have to mark it. I can just get my finger in there at that spot. Okay, one time around, maybe 1.5 times, I don't know. Oops. And then you turn it and then pull it off. Okay, so what that did was it made a cut in it there, and you can just bend this around a little bit, loosen things up, because some places you're not cut all the way through the rubber because you don't want to cut the strands. This one's being a little stubborn. There we go. And there's my nice cut ends. Time to put a lug on, show you how that works. So basically, you're just sticking this in here and making sure you're not missing any wires. It's kind of a loose fit, which is a little surprising. And then you put it in here. It's just something I got on Amazon. I see some people mount this to the table with a clamp. I've got a clamp around here somewhere, but I didn't find that that worked very well. I mounted it to a couple of boards, so it had some sturdiness. So anyway, you just stick that through the two dies here. Stick it right through there. Okay, and I want to stick it to the point that I have about 1/8 of an inch of the lug still sticking out this side. You know, I just guesstimate that with my finger. And then I just start pumping this. It's a hydraulic crimper. So it's going to start closing on it, and now it's grabbing it. I'm just making sure it's lined up properly. Okay, so now I'm just going to crimp it until the wire doesn't move anymore. I'm trying to twist the wire and rotate it. Okay, it doesn't move anymore. And maybe a little more. There we go. And the reason I'm stopping now is I find with this crimper, it ends up making these little pinches here that are going in between the dies, up this way and down that way. And if I go all the way, I end up with this 1/4 inch long crimp there sticking out. So I stop at this point, and then I just rotate it in here to a different angle so that those parts get crimped. And then I just put it back in, crank it down. It's gonna grab, there it's grabbing. Okay, so basically you're trying to just make it so that two dies touch each other. And you can generally tell when that is because this gets very stiff to move. See where we're at? Oh, a little bit. There's about a 1/16 of an inch there still. Oh, I felt it stop there, so that's definitely it. Yes, they're tight together. So now I just loosen the fluid off, take it, and now it made a really nice crimp. Where are we? There we are. Okay, now that is on there. And what happens is the wire forms a ball up inside this end, and it is just crimped in there. You could pull on that. You're never going to get that off. That's on there really good. So I'll put one on the other end. And the idea when I put it on is I want to have them both in the same orientation because I'm joining two batteries beside each other. Okay. So here we go. Oh, you can't really see that. Here, let me pull it down a bit. There we go. So I want to make sure that it's like that, you know, not one of them turn this way or anything, because the batteries, I'm just going from one to the other. I'm going to bend this a little bit in between. And okay, so here we go. That looks about right. And if it moves, big deal. I'm going to fix it again later. So I'm just putting it in there now. And I'll crimp it again. Okay, so now I'm just going to crimp it. See, I'm also, right now, I'm visually looking at this lug here and this lug here, and I'm lining them up so that they're at the same angle, right? It doesn't have to be perfect, but as long as they're, you know, reasonably good, you don't want to not even try. If you make it reasonably good, it'll work, because the cable's still flexible. Okay, I can't turn the cable inside the lug anymore, so I'm going to stop. It's only because of this crimper I have to do this. I'm sure if you got a better crimper, you wouldn't. Again, there's those spikes it's making here and here, and if I continue to crimp it, they'll just come right out, almost like wings. So anyway, I turn it back to a different orientation, put it back in the crimper. Okay, and then you crank it until you feel it stop. It feels like it stopped there. Let's see. Yep, the dies are touching together. That's good. Loosen off the pressure. So now I've got them. It's nice and flat. Okay, and this is just going to have a slight curve, and it's going to connect between two batteries. But before we do that, we need to cut off some heat shrink. So let's put that back. And let's turn this up a little bit. I'm back. Okay, so here you want to measure this. This is how I do it. Do it any way you want. But I overlap them like this, and I'm just going to make squares. So I'm just going to cut it off right here. You know, I've got the length there. I'm just going to cut it off right there. So I just mark that with my finger. You know, there's no exact science here. And I've made a square from the end of the heat shrink tube. And I'm going to make another one because I need two. There we go. So now these are kind of glued together. There, that one came apart. I don't know if you can see that, but inside there's kind of shiny. There's a glue all the way around inside there. You got to make sure you get the heat shrink that has the glue inside. So now this is going to go on here, and the reason it's so large is it has to fit over the lug. And we're just going to cover it from like here to here. And with this glue, not only does it cover it up, make it look good, protect people from shorting out on it when they touch it, but it also holds it together because that glue actually bonds it as well. So anyway, to do this, got a heat gun. You know, you can buy these things relatively cheaply. Never had a heat gun before, and you know what? I love it. So now I'm just going to turn it on top of the heat. Maybe I'll turn it this way so it makes more sense to you. I'm just going to cover it to the top of here. I don't want it going underneath. And you don't want to just heat one side in one shot because it might just wrinkle up on you. You want to kind of turn it. Oh, someone's flown by. New neighbors. By the way, I'm in a provincial park and it's beautiful. Oh my God, it's beautiful here. Here, while I'm doing that, I should just point the camera over there. You can see what's going on. It's beautiful. So I'm just making it smaller. See, it's getting tighter to the tube, or to the cable. I don't know how well you can see that. I guess it's going to be a little louder inside the camera. so what I'm doing here is I'm going to shape it out so it's tight on here and tight on there. You'll be able to tell. And you'll be able to see a little bit of glue coming out of the ends. And you know when the glue is coming out of the ends that you've got it hot enough for the glue to melt. And it's shrunk and it's good. Okay, I can definitely see glue around this edge here all the way around. Now if you can see that, will it show? It's kind of shiny, but I guess it doesn't show. Okay, it's very hot on my left hand here. Oh, that's that end. I'll flip one on the other end. Again, just even with the top of the elbow here and underneath. So I'm rotating it so I don't get like a big wrinkle in it. Working out well. It's getting extremely hot on my hands, that's for sure. Okay, so it's shaping right to the shape of the crimp in there. It's nice and tight on the cable. I can see the glue coming out the end here. And now I can see the glue on this end. We're good. Wow, the sun's coming out. Probably washing out here. Okay, so I got that one done. I just got to make these and 3 more here. I have 6 of these, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with them. Okay? One feature I really like about these batteries, if you want to store them, you can put this cable in and see if I hold this button down for 3 seconds, it becomes very bright. That means the battery's on. If I hold it for another 3 seconds and I let go, it's dim now. I'm going to go right down on that. So the battery's off now. So that's off. Not long enough. Oh, there it was. There, now it's on. Now you can hold it again and turn the battery off. So this puts the battery into a state of storage. I don't know if I'd be putting terminal things across the positive and negative in that, but the battery is off and going into a state of storage, which is fantastic. So this is going to go here between these two. You can see I've been joining the positives together along this side and on that side, and I'm just daisy chaining them all together. What I'm going to do is I'm hooking all these batteries up into parallel. So all the positives are going to hook up together, and then all the negatives together. So I have a inch-pounds torque wrench, and I have it set at about 100 pounds. I shouldn't say 100 pounds, 100 inch-pounds. And that's the recommended torque when you look it up for these batteries, so you can feel it break. Right there. There. That's it, 100 inch-pounds. Everything's on there nice. Now I got my main shutoff hooked up to the positive down here on the batteries. I got my T500 fuse, 500 amp fuse. Back there I've hooked up the negative up to the shunt for the Victron, and then up to the negative bus bar. And this fuse here goes up and connects to the positive bus bar. And now I've started taking the old batteries out, and they're heavy, oh my God. So I got to get these out, and then I got to run the wires from these 2 big positives here over to the positive bus bar in there, way up here. And then the two negatives on the back here, up to the negative bus bar, up there. And then we'll be good to turn the power on. Of course, I've got the engine batteries locked out, and I've got the power pedestal shut off and unplugged. And I've got the knife switches on these batteries off, so there's no power here anywhere. Well, I got them out. That was a struggle. They are heavy. So now I'm just cleaning up the contacts on these wires. They're pretty old and dirty, so I'm sanding them down with some sandpaper. I got just some 180 grit here, that's what I have, but you can see this one I've been working on a bit. It looks pretty good. Gonna get them all cleaned up. Gonna put some no locks on them and hook them into the bus bars over here. So I've got them cleaned up pretty good. They look good. I don't like the fact there's black heat shrink on here though. So I'm gonna replace that with red. And even on the black one, they've got some red paint on here. I don't know why, but I'm gonna put some black heat shrink over that. I want them to look right. Okay, I'm losing light, but I have it all hooked up. The camera has its own light on here, but you can see I hooked everything up back there. And now for that magic moment. Well, I hear things going on in the coach. Let's go see what's going on inside. So we're at 13.3 volts. I'm going to see what happens if I turn the inverter on. Well, the inverter's on with the new batteries. Everything seems to be going well. The 12-volt lights are on. The fridge is on, so we are inverting. Yay. Yeah, baby. If you like what you saw here today, give us a thumbs up. We really appreciate that. It helps us out a lot. And if you want to see more videos in the future, click subscribe and ring that little bell so you get notified. Thanks for watching. Take care, everyone. Bye now.